I'm so excited to introduce Dee Guerrero. She is a longtime Ford employee. I think you've been there your entire career or close to it, and we've talked a lot over the years. And I asked her to come on and talk to us about what Ford is doing to try to improve representation in advertising. And she's got a really great case study that she's going to present. So I will go ahead and let you take it away, Dee. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've been with Ford for nearly 16 years now. So straight out of undergrad, came in as a college graduate, did the zone manager role, and have had various roles throughout my career. And this one has been the most challenging one. Following audiences, following their journey, and kind of speaking to them and building that platform to really deliver, right, the brand's essence, but not only speaking about the brand, but really being a platform for the audience as well. It's storytelling, it's acknowledging, and it's bringing forth learnings to other audiences to learn more about, what we do, why we do it, and really mostly who we do it for, which is our consumers. I'm responsible mainly for our African American audiences. So today, what I want to take you guys through is just a few slides, but mostly visuals so you can see the content work, because I believe that really speaks to what we did with the launch of our 2020 Escape. Now, unfortunately, it did get cut short due to COVID. The campaign did not live the lifespan that was expected to live, but we found that we had great results with the amount of time that we did have with the campaign. And so what I'll do is I'll just take you guys through just a few slides to talk about why we did this campaign the way that we did, the work that came out of it. And mostly what we learned was just that when we are doing the storytelling, when we are merging the consumer and the brand together as one, it's not only just doing, the talk, but we have to take action. And that's one of the things that we want to continue to move forward, is doing the work that we do in automotive advertising, but what are the actions that we're taking afterwards, and being purposeful with the messaging that we're doing, so that not only are we showing up with our products and services, but we're also showing up for the community. So with that, I'll share my screen and I'll bring forth my presentation. And so with that, our campaign was called Built Phenomenally. Clearly, it was inspired by Maya Angelou's Phenomenal Woman. And so, as I mentioned, this was our 2020 Escape campaign to launch the all new Escape, which was designed completely brand new from the inside out and the outside in. And so the background with that was that prior to this campaign, ANA had come in and they have their See Her movement. And they had come in and kind of shared with us, findings, and made us take a really good deep look internally at how our advertising was resonating with the audience, but particularly with females. Definitely not discrediting males at all. Our males supportive of female advertising messages and so on. And so with that, we really took to heart and said, look, right on our webpage is our mission, it's our vision, what we stand for, and it's human progress, right? It's building better communities, and definitely doing that within the brand of, what we speak and how we act. And so what we realized was we have an all new vehicle. We have a very specific target. More than 50% of our registrations and small utility go to females, African American females. And so we said, how do we deliver an all new product in an overcrowded space and really stand out? Small utility segment has, more than 20 vehicles and brands, a lot of manufacturers play in that space. And so how do we make the Escape matter and really stand out against a crowd? And so we had this campaign idea and we said, well, why don't we create the story about, it is all women led. And so when we're working on this campaign, how do we bring that forth? How do we tell a story to our main consumer, but told through her friend, someone that she could identify as a sister, as a friend, as an aunt, as a mother, as a daughter. How do we do that and really create the synergy? And when we look at that, what do we think about, younger generations, right? A lot of times when we have families, we make decisions based on our children, or if we don't have children, we make them based on nieces and nephews or adopted nieces and nephews from friends that have children. And we make conscious decisions. And so we said, how do we create a future as well for the youth when we're talking about, advertising? Because although we are in the business of building vehicles, we also are in the entertainment industry as we do these commercials. And so what we wanted to do was shine a spotlight not only on the vehicle, but on the audience that purchases this vehicle primarily. And so we wanted to celebrate defiance, it was to celebrate transformation, and definitely just the versatility of Black women as creators, marketers, and performers, and just uniqueness. We really, really value diversity and inclusion at Ford, but we also recognize that the audience absolutely loves to celebrate their uniqueness. There's something that makes all of us unique. And when that's also represented, it's definitely something that is positive overall. And so with that, as I mentioned, ANA came in and said, hey, let's look at the work that you guys have been doing and how does it resonate? And so from an African American standpoint, our content really resonated with the audience. Our scores were above average in terms of how our commercials were really connecting with females, positively representing them, and definitely with males as well. They felt that the messaging was very positive and they were very supportive of it. So as we thought about that, we have a great internal production team, and said, hey, we're thinking about in front of the camera, but what about behind the camera? When we're looking at possibilities and we're looking at work, we're always trying to look for someone who has automotive experience. But what about those people that don't have automotive experience? How do we create this space for them where that's not going to be the first thing that we look at? Because we see a lot of director reels and we love the content, but sometimes we say, oh, but they don't have automotive experience, but we love what they did in this ad. And so we thought about it and said, well, there's an opportunity for everyone. If the director doesn't have experience, we just pair them up with a great DP that does, and we can create work and then also open the doors to allow them to include in their portfolio automotive work. And so we went ahead, and we're one of the founding partners of Free the Work, which is a space where underrepresented, content creators, directors, producers can go, and definitely have their information loaded. And we are now part of that, where we offer fair bidding, and we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to be in the running for being able to do a advertising spot for us. And so we found that to be one of the greatest decisions that we made, was to do that. And we've added other organizations that we've partnered with this year to continue that effort and further amplify it. So in doing that, what we ended up doing was finding a director that had experience with Nike, Adidas, YouTube, and all these platforms, but she didn't have the automotive experience. But she looked us in our eyes and said, I can do it. I can bring your dream to life. I trust me. And we said, we trust you. We will allow you to bring what our dream is to life, and we want to offer you that opportunity. And so we went ahead and had a great piece of work that really lived and told an amazing story for us. So what you're going to see is that we called this campaign Built Phenomenally overall. And it's two campaigns. One is Built Phenomenally, which tells the story of all of these great women that came behind the scenes to create a piece of work, which then later is the finished spot, called Own It. And so what we wanted to do was highlight all of these great minds, all of these great content creators from all walks of the production process that came together to bring a finished product called Own It. And so what I'll do is I want to show you guys, which is the first spot, which is the behind the scenes of the 2020 Escape production and all of the women that came together to make it possible.
Phenomenal doesn't just happen. It's designed with intention, assembled with care. And even still, to bring it all to life takes a sprinkling of magic. Introducing the unmistakably new 2020 Ford Escape, built phenomenally.
And so we have Angela Bassett as our voiceover. And then we also brought in the music of Big Frida, who is a big bounce artist down south, primarily out of New Orleans. And so from that, seeing that content piece, there were a lot of elements that were tied in very much to African American women, as you can see. We had the set up with all of the elements that she would recognize, that she appreciates, and that are very, very culturally relevant to her day-to-day life. And so from this spot, from all of these women that we brought together, the next spot then is what we created, the idea that all of us brought to life. Next spot is called Own It. And this is what the finished work would be.
What makes you different is what makes you, you. Unique and unrepeatable, inside and out. When you get comfortable with that, destiny's yours to navigate. Introducing the unmistakably new 2020 Ford Escape.
And so with that, what we were trying to do was just showcase also, as you can see, just diversity amongst this diverse audience, right? We wanted different heights, we wanted different body types, we wanted different hairstyles, we wanted different outfits. And many of the women that you see there all wore outfits that they felt comfortable with. We were very purposeful in choosing a makeup artist that knew how to work with different types of skin tones and textures. We were very much wanted it to be everybody be themselves. So the young lady in the yellow dress, that was her personality, and we said, go for it, be who you are, and be, walk to the car how you feel that dress makes you feel, and how this car makes you feel. And so we wanted it to be authentic all throughout, so that everybody just felt like themselves in this space. And so in doing that, we also felt that we owed it to giving back. And how do we do that? And as I mentioned earlier, how do you continue telling the story, right? It's all about, the art of sequential messaging. And when you have a spot that's only 30 seconds and you have your audience following this journey on TV, how do you, from a digital standpoint and from a social standpoint, continue telling that story so that it all ties in together? So one of the things that we wanted to do was to definitely leverage and mentor next generation youth that are interested in working in this space. And so ANA See Her has that motto, right? If you can see her, you can be her. And so we said, we're going to have all of these powerful women on the set, and we have Angela Bassett recording. How do we take that opportunity to show younger generations that anything is possible, right? The art of that anything is possible. And so what we did was we found two great organizations. Girls Make Beats is an organization that works with the young youth, females, African American females, to teach them about sound engineering, to teach them about being DJs, music producers. And then Made in Her Image is another organization, nonprofit, with young youth as well, that strives towards social equity in film and media and entertainment. And so they deliver on showing girls that they can be directors, that they can be producers, that they can be DPs, that they can be behind the scenes, right? And not always have to look at just what is in front of the screen, because what goes on behind the screen is just as important and matters. It definitely matters. And so what we did was we created two content pieces to show how not only does the work that we create really matters. But, what do you do with the youth? How do you bring the brand to young eyes, but doing it in a way that they feel a connection, because they can't drive yet, they can't purchase a vehicle yet. So how do you connect the brand with the youth to show that the brand is there for the community and it's an emotion that'll resonate with them for years to come? So then ultimately, right, continue that connection into their future as then they consider, vehicles when they are of age to drive. So the pieces here you'll see is, one is the first piece where we brought all the girls, both organizations, on set to see the production process and spend time with all of the different people in their roles. And then the second piece is Girls Make Beats exclusively went to see the voice recording with Angela Bassett. And so I'll play those two pieces for you so you can see how we extended the story of being behind the scenes and empowering women. And now it's empowering these young females in the world of the entertainment industry.
I've never really been on an actual set. That inspires me to go back home and start filming.
You have to let people do their jobs. You hire someone and say, hey, I trust you to do wardrobe. They're gonna come up with their own ideas, but that's what they do.
I love color. Throughout the set in my costumes, you're gonna see a lot of color, bold colors, because I think that's natural. It communicates emotion as well.
This is what a cinematographer looks like.
I would love to be a cinematographer when I get
That is so cool. When I was growing up, I was always shooting. And then when I got to film school, I was just like, oh my God, this is my calling.
I'm super excited to have you here. I'm proud to work for Ford that allows us to do stuff like this.
What I love most is creating the next thing. All the information, all the hard work that we did was right on. It's like, we got it.
That tells me that I can be behind the camera, not just in front of it. But now I know that I can edit, I can film, I can direct. It just gives you more of that power to see your vision come to life.
Thank you, Ford.
Thank you, Ford.
Thank you, Ford.
Thanks, Ford. Thanks, Ford.
Thank you, Ford, for giving me an amazing experience on set, and I'm now really inspired to continue filmmaking.
And so the next piece is the recording with Angela Bassett.
Tiffany, it's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Tiffany.
Likewise. I'm the founder of the organization. And we work with young ladies, teaching them about making beats, DJing, engineering.
I love it.
I thought it was very important for the girls to see the VO process of the commercial that was shot with Angela Bassett.
Hi, Madison. Angela, nice to meet you. Michaela, a pleasure.
What really inspires me is the sound and how it connects to emotion.
What makes you different is what makes you you. Unique and unrepeatable inside and out. Introducing the unmistakably new and decidedly different 2020 Ford Escape, built phenomenally. As you were saying, only 2% of women are, music producers.
Yeah.
And you have to
Right.
feel so good about your gift and what you're able to give, that those numbers don't mean anything. It's like, and I'm gonna add to that number.
I love being around this creative energy. It makes me want to keep working to where I want to get.
I wanna show my girls that we
sometimes they say little black and brown girls' images don't travel, you know? They'll try to make you believe in the world, you know, in life that you're less than when actually you're on top. You're the head, not the tail. You're above and not beneath. You're phenomenal. You're built phenomenally. That's what we're talking about today. I need another verse. You got another verse for that? I need another verse. Like another 2 verses. That's so good.
I really appreciate you taking the time to inspire our girls and share your knowledge and insight and beautiful words of wisdom. So thank you so, so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so beautiful. I just see the future in you. Stay strong, always be safe, and don't take no mess.
Phenomenally! Can't nobody tell us no when we know we got each other. 'Cause it's just you and me.
And so with all of that coupled together, we've had various case studies done around this campaign for the purpose of the fact that, you know, we took a campaign that was meant to be about a vehicle, about a product, and really made it matter beyond what the use of it is for, and really connected with our audience. And so overall, it was deemed definitely a success. It was considered transformational amongst automotive and with our intended target. We saw through a case study with Facebook that our brand favorability was 4.2 percentage point lifts, which is 70% higher than auto vertical norm, and 2 percentage points higher the norm. And then you could see there, you know, through Facebook. Also definitely resonated. We had some media, you know, press and things around it, had one-on-one meetings with media to really explain what we were doing. This launched as we're the exclusive automotive sponsor of Black Women in Hollywood with our partnership with Essence. And so that was really a launching moment for us to bring this to life during that event last year. And so really coupled all together, you know, the story through and through was just that women working together, you know, a product that is for women, bought by women, and knowing that our African-American female usually is the decision maker, even if not the head of household, when a vehicle purchase is taken into consideration, that all of this brought together really delivered and resonated with our African-American audience. And so the 3 bullet points here was just to also note how deep we went into being purposeful, and then including women of all diverse backgrounds to really bring the story to life. And from Ford Motor set, you know, our whole team that worked on it was female led, from the director to the stylist, as you can see, and even with our agency partner, which is the oldest African-American agency on record in the US, Uniworld Group, bringing, you know, a female writer, and then producer and digital team at the helm of the entire project. So what we learned from this as we continue moving forward, as you'll see from other campaigns, is using our platform to acknowledge and celebrate the culture of our African-American audience, but definitely taking the product to a whole nother level in terms of not just being a vehicle of transportation, but definitely a vehicle for the community and for supporting dreams and furthering, you know, the community's desires and wishes to continue being successful in America today. And so with that, that's all I have. I have my information here. I think we have some time for questions, quite possibly, and I'll let Tanya kind of lead.
Yeah, great presentation, Dee. I really, really appreciate you. And those videos were just amazing. I knew Angela was cool, but I didn't know that she was that cool. And seeing all those young girls being inspired by her was just really, really nice to see. So we've got a couple of questions for the audience. Stephen Rousseau says or asks, you talked about sequential messaging and the customer journey. How do you control that so that you know how a customer is moving through the journey from awareness to engagement to conversion?
Absolutely. So What we do is we kind of look at that. We have done studies that in the consumer decision journey and realize that our African American audience does take longer to make a purchase decision than who we call, or I think we all would say, is the total market, right? The audience, everyone as a whole. They do take a little bit longer, and so we this year will be conducting that research again because of COVID. Right now, we're in more of a digital space. What does that journey look like? And so we're very purposeful in that when we're serving up a 30-second ad on TV, once we go into a digital and a social space, we there then emulate the purchase funnel and we serve content and creative that leads in those spaces. So when we deliver on awareness, you're going to see that it's very much more high level, a little bit more of the storytelling from the 30-second that you see. But then later on, as the campaign continues to progress, then we'll serve you up some more content that is very product focused. And then as we're nearing the end of the campaign, you'll see that we're serving up very detailed feature based content that delivers, and the CTAs follow along with that. And so generally we know that the lifespan of a campaign, right, is about 3 to 4 months. And so we try to make sure that during the time when we also look at how long a campaign will live, we take that into consideration and break it out into buckets to then continue delivering that. We still play in the CRM space with emails. So we also deliver that one-on-one connection with emails as well. We don't do direct mail anymore, so there isn't anything physical. But the most physical thing that our audiences have nowadays are their phones, right? So all of our focus really is that our content works the hardest for us in that digital and social space where, as I mentioned, we kind of try to emulate that consumer decision journey throughout the life of the campaign.
Okay, that's interesting. And actually kind of this is a good follow-up question. Steve Smith has this one. How are you extending the inclusivity principles of the creative to the media buying? Are you supporting media channels and properties that are owned and in service to underrepresented audiences? And of course, I'm sure you are aware of GM's been under fire by Black-owned media the last couple weeks with the ads in the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post. So I'm sure that's something you guys are definitely paying attention to.
Absolutely, yeah. So all of our media definitely goes to African American media. So BET, Her, OWN, TV One, Aspire. All of our spend is in the African American media space. We also still play in the newspaper space and print. We know that a lot of people have pulled out from that space, but we recognize and understand that the African American audience still definitely is engaged in print. So we still invest in print as well and have a great relationship with the NNPA. And so we still do provide print creative for that organization, which then are, Black owned newspapers. And so we still maintain those relationships. Also with digital partners as well. Our spend goes with digital partners. You'll see that we partner with Mirror Digital. We definitely include and invite media from, Bossip and all those other organizations that exist that are exclusive to our African American audience. One of the things that we do always try to consider is how do we get more of the creative on a general market side and really look into, bringing that story to where spaces that may be on the general market side are over indexing with African American audiences to continue being exclusive in that communication. But all of our media spend currently is with urban African American media.
Okay, great. And then Aaron Smith Knight asks, are you planning a campaign or a push that will target African Americans and people of color for the new Mustang Mach-E EV, which I actually just got to drive, or I got to ride in last week, which was pretty cool.
Yes, so the Mach-E has done a lot of work in the African American space. As you know, that when the vehicle launched, the team did bring in Idris Elba to be the official representative for the Mach-E during the launch. And my understanding is that he will be back. We have content that is diversified, but within that diversification, there is always content created for our African American audiences. So you'll see that right now there is the campaign of Mach-E versus different things. And so if you look up specifically in YouTube, it's Mach-E versus DNA. That's targeted to African American females. When you go to Ford.com in the gallery, you'll see that there is content that is targeted to African American audiences. And even now for Black women in Hollywood, where we're automotive exclusive again, we're leveraging the Mach-E as the official vehicle, as we're, Black women in Hollywood is presented by Ford. And then as well as we just had a campaign called Show Some Muscle, which was led by Misty Copeland, and with a Madonna inspired tank by Sydney James, who is a local African-American artist in Detroit. And then we had other, African-American activists, females participate in that campaign called Show Some Muscle that revolved all around the Mach-E. So we're very intentional. And a lot of the questions that we get is, do we do things because our gut says that that's what we should be doing? And I will say that the amount of focus groups that we have is intense, but the purpose is, and my role and my responsibility is to be the voice of the customer, and is to represent them in a matter in which they feel like it's positive, but also speaking to them in a manner that they want to be spoken at, and then also providing them products that they ask for, right? Even though it might be amongst a plethora of competitors, but we always just ask to be an option, right? We would like to be considered. And so we're very intentional in that space. Internally, we have a team. I'm part of a growth audiences team. And so we have a marketing communications manager dedicated to Hispanics, and a marketing communications manager dedicated to women and millennials. And so we definitely do not group everyone together. We definitely have dedicated communications, but we also understand that there is that story on the total market space of inclusivity and bringing what that commonality is that brings everyone together when we speak about Ford and being family.
Awesome. Well, it's a great vehicle, and it hardly even needs any marketing, but I know, it's still a good halo vehicle, and you're going to get a lot of people into the Ford brand who look at that and then end up buying, I don't know, an F-150 or something else.
I invite everyone to register to watch Black Women in Hollywood. It'll be live streamed through essencestudios.com. So you can see kind of the work that we'll be doing exclusively with Mach-E in that space, targeting our African-American audience.
Awesome. Well, and I appreciate you putting your email down so that if people have follow-up questions, because they may think of something afterward, they can get back in touch with you. So thank you so much for taking the time to fill us in today. That was really, really interesting, and I appreciate your time.
And I thank everybody for sticking around.
Thank you.